an exhausting, emotional day that is for Newcastle United, who finally ended 70 years of domestic waiting for a trophy with the Carabao Cup win over Liverpool here today. I'm kind of lost for words. It's been a really hectic couple of hours since the end of the game. Spoken to Eddie Howe, spoken to Dan Burn, Callum Wilson, Joelinton as well, a couple of others. The Newcastle fans who were over there, absolutely incredible all afternoon. Really backed the team, and you could tell that they learned from the mistakes of 2 years ago. They were really hungry but not too over eager, and they just wanted it more than Liverpool. Liverpool were not great from the start, really. They were really poor, not at the races, and we know really that Newcastle wanted this more. Liverpool's focus is the league title, which they've just about wrapped up. This is a bonus for them, even after the back of that PSG game when they were tired and they were emotionally drained and physically drained as well, and that really all came together for a perfect storm for Newcastle from the very off. In the midfield, absolutely bossed it. Tonali, Bruno and Joelinton, brilliant. Isak making the difference again in the second half with that brilliant finish, but it came from Dan Burn, the big moment, and it was amazing to speak to him about his England call-up after the game. More of that coming this week, but also just so much more about just what he represents for this club, because he came here a bit self-deprecating. I think he'd given up on the chance to play for Newcastle when the takeover happened. Lots of talk of big money moves for defenders in that January, and he came in, you know, and it would have been easy to think that it was an underwhelming signing, but he hit the ground running and he's never really stopped, and the ability to be so consistent and give everything that as he does, it should not go unnoticed. And I said back in the PSG video a couple of years ago when he scored in that 4-1 game, that was his history moment. It really wasn't. This was his history moment. What a header for him. First goal at Wembley since 2000. And as I say, it couldn't have gone to a more deserving player or a better human being than Dan Burn. I think everyone in that half of Wembley was just absolutely overjoyed. But Newcastle didn't stop. In the second half, there was a bit of a worry that Liverpool would come back. That's been the way it's been for most of this season, really. Liverpool, they've started poorly and then fixed it in the second half, but Newcastle stepped up again, scored that goal that was disallowed from Isak. A minute later he goes and scores again. Chiesa's goal at the end, 8 minutes of stoppage time, it wouldn't be Newcastle United, and Dan Burn even said this, without a late goal, to make it more nervy and add to the drama. But just a fantastic day for everybody involved with Newcastle United. And downstairs as well, you can tell how much the club knows that this means to the city and the press pack. Lots of congratulations, lots of high fives, lots of hugs down there. It's very much seen as a sort of victory for the city, as I say, and victory for the people, not just for the football club, not just for the players who were so heroic out there. I think we all came into this game, I certainly did, with a little bit of a pessimistic head on, just in terms of what Liverpool have done to Newcastle in the past and what Liverpool tend to do in these finals. But I don't think I've seen a more toothless Liverpool performance in a final than that, really. But it came down to wanting it more, and Newcastle, to their credit, have risen to answer a number of different questions in that game, just for the way that they held their nerve, performed on that stage like it was like they owned that stage from the very start. Tonali showed up, Bruno showed up, Isak showed up as well. I just want to talk again about Dan Burn. What a player, what a man, what a header. And yeah, I think you can tell I'm a little bit emotional. It's been a really long day for me. It'll be one of the best days certainly of my career. The hard work starts now, really, but getting over that hump of not winning a trophy and getting that first one and learning how to do it, you could tell they'd already taken, as I say, that vengeance from 2 years ago against Manchester United, and they went into this game with a completely different mindset. They weren't overawed. They were roared on by that crowd that I felt was more involved than it was 2 years ago. I think there was a big thing about them not getting too drunk. The night before they were at Covent Garden, and it looked like a great party. I was travelling down last night, so I missed it. But it felt like Newcastle fans played their part a little bit more this time, and the whole thing just felt like a progression from 2 years ago when they lost to Manchester United in quite meek fashion. I think ultimately this shows that this team is learning, and this team is developing and growing into something better, and the next stage is to do this again, to continue to win trophies, to get back into the Champions League. That's the way you're going to keep the likes of Isak and Bruno and Tonali all here fighting for titles for Newcastle United. This is the best day that we've all had in a long time following Newcastle United. It just was perfect from start to finish. As I say, they started really well, they continued, they built, and they held their nerve at the end when Chiesa's goal went in with 8 minutes. Because it was a VAR, there was a couple more minutes. There were lots of shades of that Nunes ending against Newcastle at St James's Park and the Carvalho ending at Anfield as well. Lots of nervous moments, I think you could tell from the fan base, but it wouldn't be Newcastle United without those things. And ultimately, this was the biggest test of whether they could show their mettle, and this was the biggest test of their mentality, and they passed it. There will be more coherent thoughts on 442.com this week from this game, and also a piece for the BBC Sport website, and I'll also be back writing for Forbes as well. So lots more Newcastle United content coming with the written word from me. Apologies, this is a little bit of a reactive ramble, but it's been such an emotional day. I'm so drained, I'm so tired, I need to go and finish my work. But yeah, what a performance, what a result, and here's to many more. Thanks so much for joining me. Like, share and subscribe if you want more Newcastle United content, more content from the football world as well. One last swerve to see the beautiful Wembley pitch. Be back next time for another video. Cheers.